Perfection has become the logical conclusion to the problem of human quality. And that's a shame. I'm Elias Pisot, a 14-year-old living in Bucharest, Romania, and I have noticed in my peers, in my classmates, and especially in the educational system that people are striving to be perfect, and because it has become a lot more achievable than before, people are getting more and more stressed because of not being perfect. And I realized this by reading some interbellic Romanian literature, some very good interbellic period Romanian literature. Back then, people didn't get perfect grades. They didn't get straight A's, straight 10s, whatever your metric of school success is. No, some of them got really good grades in certain subjects, and in other subjects, they got D's and B's and maybe even 2s or 1s. It wasn't that stressful. The anxiety wasn't that big upon the students. But now, because a lot of people who do not try a lot get perfect straight 10s, straight A's, it has become expected for the good student, for a perfect student, for just a maybe not even a perfect student, just an average student, to be getting very good grades, like I don't know, 982 as a final grade, like we do in Romania. GPA of 4. I don't know. I don't know how GPAs work, but something along those lines. And it is just not fair because the system was so much better before. A system that permits everybody to be perfect at everything. A system that permits people to get straight A's, straight 10s is not a good system. Because if everybody was actually perfect at everything, if you were perfect at everything, you would obviously not be that special as a human being. You would have nothing special about you because special has become the norm. And of course, this is also going to double your anxiety because there are so many things that you just cannot perfect about you. And because perfection has become the standard, well, of course you're going to be feeling stressed because you're quite literally aiming to the highest possible good that can never be reached. You can't even scrape the bottom of it, let alone be incompatible with it. So how could we actually learn to sacrifice certain things in order to be special at other things without being influenced by the epidemic of human perfection? Well, I don't really know the answer to that question. I'll be very honest because I've just started wrangling with this idea that I'm not supposed to be perfect at everything. I'm not supposed to get straight 10s at every single subject at school. But I do know something very intuitive, that it probably shouldn't even be a problem in the first place. As I've said, I've read some interbellic Romanian literature, and back in the day, people were either really good at Latin or really good at maths and got straight 10s in Latin class, in math class, in trigonometry, and whatever. And maybe they were really good. Maybe they got 8s and 9s in other classes. But for the most part, they were really good at one thing, and it was really clear what they wanted to do. They liked German. They became a translator, a German teacher. They really liked math and physics. They became an engineer. And it was always simpler back then. Of course, the people were probably more miserable because of the social economic state of the world. Well, your purpose in life was a lot clearer than now, when everyone is trying to be perfect, when perfect has become the standard, and being perfect at everything literally means that you do not know what you're better at. That's why it's important to not be perfect. Because if you're equally good at math and Latin, what do you want to do in your life? Because it's extremely complicated to find jobs that combine mathematics, trigonometry, algebra, geometry with Romance languages. And back in the day, I don't know, like a century ago, when everything was clearer, when everything was a bit more had a bit more of a solid foundation, because nobody was perfect at everything. People knew what to do. People who liked math became engineers. People who liked Latin became linguists. It was not that hard. It was really ultimately simple. But now, if we live in a world where everyone is expected to be the best version of themselves, the actual perfect epitome of their potential as a human being, who expects them to know what they want to do with their life when there are so many possible things to do? Yeah, of course, it kind of gives them, for some people, it can raise their hopes up. That can give them a bit of hope. Oh, I have so many options. But it's the classic paradox of choice. The more choices you have, the less satisfied you will be with your final choice. So, if you actually want to hack the system, and this doesn't sound like hacking the system because ultimately getting worse grades than other people, and this doesn't only apply to the educational system, this also applies with teachers, with jobs in general, with linguists, mathematicians, whatever domain or whatever category of human being you are, there will be this necessity to be perfect at every single one of the things that you're required to do as that thing. You're a student, you need to be great at physics, at Latin, at mathematics, at French, at German, at everything. And we all know, as I said, that it will not make you happy. That will not lead you, that will not lead you on a path that you are proud of. Because if you're good at everything, you're ultimately good at nothing. So, choose a couple of things that you really like. I like languages, I like social sciences, I like psychology, philosophy, and yes, I will be studying physics and mathematics and computer science out of pleasure, but I know what my domain is. I know what I want to do in life. Be a speaker, learn languages, study philosophy and psychology, and learn more about myself through these things. And whether or not you like the same things as me, or completely opposite things, we can both look at each other as different human beings. Because if we both had the exact same passions and were straight A students at every single one of the subjects that we both had, would probably be like looking in the mirror. And that's what and as a side note, this is what I appreciate in some of my best friends, that a lot of them are the complete opposite person from me. Maybe I can get good grades in English, and they can get good grades in math, and vice versa with the bad grades. This is what makes us special. The difference in quality in certain things, and if we all were to be so perfect at everything, if even one of us was to be perfect, and yeah, there are many perfect people, pseudo-perfect people, yeah, they're miserable. I'm sure they're miserable. Because I myself, when I was trying to do everything, I was completely miserable. And I wouldn't wish that, not even on my worst enemy. And it's so sad that some of my most loved people, some of the closest people to me, are going through the exact same thing. And worst of all, it is self-inflicted. So, take care of your identity. Take care of who you want to be. And remember that being perfect at everything is the definition of being ultimately flawed, filled with vice, imperfect. Send this to someone you love, and I'll see you later.